All right, so flour costs $1.50 per pound, cornmeal costs $2.50 per pound, and you want to spend less than $25 on flour and cornmeal, but you need at least 6 pounds altogether. Now remember, we're dealing with systems. Systems have how many, and since we're doing inequalities, how many inequalities? 2. That's also why we have 2 spaces. So you basically need to make 2 separate inequalities. An easy way to start would be to look for any totals. So what is a total that's on here? And I don't mean like the $1.50 per pound, that's like a rate. I'm looking for a total. $25. And what else? 6 pounds. So those are our totals. That's an easy way to start because the totals are usually by themselves on one side of the symbol. Now, since it's inequalities, what symbol are we not using? We're not using an equal sign. It's one of the 4 that we went over. So greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. Now we have in the past talked about like the signal words for each of those. I don't memorize them. I just like think about it logically. So around your totals, look at the words in front of your totals. You want to spend less than $25. So if what goes here is what I spend, can it be greater than 25? No. Can it be less than 25? Can it be exactly 25? No, because it says you want to spend less than $25. So that would be $24.99, but not 25. All right, so less than. And then for the 6 pounds, so we need at least 6 pounds. Look at the words in front of the total. If what goes here is my pounds, then it needs to be at least 6. Can it be greater than? Yes, if I need at least 6, I can have more than 6. Can it be exactly 6? Yes, at least 6. Yes, it can be 6. So put that little line underneath. Does that make sense? All right, so then if 25 is my dollar amount, and that's my total for my dollar amounts, I should probably keep it with my dollar amounts. So what are my other dollar amounts? Good. Would I just leave them like that? Or what else needs to go there? X. X would represent what? Flour. So if we're saying that flour is X, make sure you label it that way. So when we graph it over here, the flour will go on the X-axis. Make sense? What will be the Y? The cornmeal. All right, so cornmeal will be Y. So we can label our axes. Y will be the cornmeal. Questions, comments? All right, and then what symbol goes in between these two? Plus, because combined, that gives me my total. Questions about that? All right. Now let's talk about the 6 pounds. So on the other side of it, we need to put some stuff here. If you're stuck, remember that you do need to use the same variables. So somehow X and Y need to be in there. How would I write it? Good, X plus Y. And that's about it, right? Because we said X is pounds of flour, Y is pounds of cornmeal. If I add those pounds together, I need to make sure that they're at least 6. All right, makes sense? Any questions? All right, so then, sorry. This is a good way to model stuff. So I'm going to kind of box it up, and I'm also going to kind of move it because I need some more room. All right, but a good way on a test would be to cancel out some of your answers by your symbols and your totals. All right, so if you know what way the opening is supposed to go, you can cancel out some of the answers that way. All right, so I'm going to kind of box this up, but am I able to graph this the way that it is? No. So I do need to rearrange it into slope-intercept form. How do I do that? Subtract 1.5x, do that on each side. I have 2.5y. I don't need to change the sign when I subtract. And what goes on the right side? The negative 1.5x, and what else? Plus 25. All right, almost in slope-intercept form. What do I do next? Divide 2.5 on each side. I'm going to erase my labels for a minute. All right, on the left side, I have y by itself now. Do I need to flip the sign when I divide a positive? So leave it the same. And my fraction, I know that might be hard to simplify, right? I just put it into my calculator. It gave me like negative 0.6. And then I press the button that says F arrows C. So like fraction to decimal. Press that button, and it told me that the fraction is negative 3 over 5. Nice. You can use your calculator for that. And then what's my y-intercept? 25 divided by 2.5. Someone have a calculator? Really, you should all have your calculator out, whether it's on your Chromebook or handheld. But 25 divided by 2.5 is positive 10. Right, so now it's in slope-intercept form. I'm going to kind of highlight that so I remember to graph it. And we just need to put the other one in slope-intercept form. That one's a little easier to do. How do I get the y by itself? Subtract x on each side. And in slope-intercept form, it is greater than or equal to, okay. And then I'm going to highlight that so that we remember to graph that. All right, so any questions on the rearrangement? All right, so now we're going to graph it. And I'll start with the top one. So my y-intercept for that one is 10. So put a dot where the 10 would go. And then my slope for this one, going up or down 3? Good, because it's negative. So down 1, 2, 3, to the right 5. down 3, to the right 5. And look at the symbol. Should it be solid or dashed? Dashed, good. And should this one be shaded above or below? Again, you need to look at the symbol. It should be shaded below. The shade below that line. Don't shade too dark though, because you need to be able to see where they overlap later. All right, then graph your other one. So that y-intercept is 6. And that slope is what? -1, so going down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. And will that one be a solid line or a dashed line? Solid. And then is this one shaded above or below? Above. All right, and then the solutions are where? Where do the solutions go? Is it just anywhere that's shaded? Where it overlaps. So for you guys, this middle piece should be nice and dark. I use colors, so sorry, my thing is like not working. All right, so I use colors, so on my screen it's green. All right, and then anything in that green area is a solution. We're going to cover that next. Questions about the graphing though? All right, so then, hold on 1 second. All right, so what's a solution that can fit into that green area? 7, 4, let's see, sorry, I have to go all the way up there because it's not really working. Maybe I'll try back here. All right, so 7, 4. Good, that would work. And then when we write our solution, remember how we labeled it. So if it's 7, 4, that would be 7 pounds of what? Of flour, because that's what we said the X would be. And how many pounds of cornmeal? So it was 7, 4, it would be 4 pounds of cornmeal. All right, what's another coordinate that fits into this region? I didn't quite hear that. 210. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I counted 210 to be here, which is not in that area. All right, so 2, 8. Good, it is in the area. So that would be 2 pounds of what? Of flour and 8 pounds of what? Cornmeal. All right, any questions? All right, and really there's more than one right answer. So anything that goes in there is an answer. So the totals are a good place to start. What are some of the totals? 240, good. And what else? And 50. I'm gonna write that in here. 240 and 50. I'm kind of squishing it over here so that I have room for everything else. All right, now for the 240, we cannot spend more than 240. So whatever goes over here. Sorry, this thing is bugging me. Whatever goes over here Can it be greater than 240? If we cannot spend more than 240, are we allowed to have it, whatever we spend, be greater than 240? No, so then flip the sign, less than. Can it be less than 240? Can it be exactly 240? So then put that little line under it. For the 50 pounds, we need to buy at least 50. So can whatever we buy be greater than 50? Can it be less? Well, can it? I heard no. So if I need to buy at least 50, can I buy more than that? So it should be greater than. And can I buy exactly 50? Yes. All right, now fill in the rest of it. So if it's $240, let's look for the other dollar amounts. What are they? $4 per pound of perch. What variable do you want to use? Okay, so X can be perch. So I'm going to label that here before we forget. All right, so my X-axis is for perch, and then my Y-axis is going to be for what? And how much does the salmon cost? Good. So your expression is 4X plus 3Y on the left side. And my Y-axis is for the salmon. Now let's talk about the pounds. How would I express that? Remember that we have to use the same variables. Good. And you usually have one that's really simple like that. Because if X is pounds of perch and Y is pounds of salmon, well then adding them together would give us whatever total pounds we have. Questions on this process? All right, now to graph it, it needs to be in what form? Slope intercept, so we need to isolate the Y. What's the first step in isolating the Y? Good, do that on each side. I get 3Y less than or equal to, because you do not change the sign when you do that, negative 4X plus 240. How do you get Y by itself? Divide 3 on each side. Do I need to flip the sign when I divide a positive? No, so leave the sign the same. I have Y less than or equal to. Can I leave it as a fraction? I'm going to simplify a fraction. Then yes, I can. So negative 4/3 X. And what's my Y-intercept? Good, a positive 80. I'm going to highlight that. So I remember to graph it. Questions about that? All right, now rearrange the other one. How do you rearrange the other one? Subtract X on each side. And now Y is by itself. So the inequality is Y greater than or equal to what? Good. And then we're highlighting that one and graphing. Now, do I have enough little spaces to have it count by ones? So what do you think I should count by? Tens would be good, because I have to put a Y-intercept of 80 and a Y-intercept of 50. So we'll count by tens. So put a dot where the 80 would be on the Y-axis. Should be here. And the slope is still the same, because the slope will always be the most simplified fraction. So we're going down 4 to the right 3. Down 4 to the right 3. And will this one be solid or dashed? Good. And shaded above or below for this inequality? If it's less than, it should be shaded below. So below this line will be shaded yellow. Questions there? All right, then graph the other one. So that one has a y-intercept of 50. And my slope is -1. So down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1. And solid or dashed for that line? Solid. Is this one shaded above or below? Above. And I probably don't actually need to shade this whole thing because I already see where they overlap. All right, so where is my solution? Good, on my screen it's green. On your paper, this middle piece should be nice and dark. All right, and then what are some coordinates that fit in that middle space? 6, 1. 6, 1, let's see. I don't think it fits quite in there. 5, 1 works, good. Right here. And that would be, and remember we counted by 10, so that's actually 50, 10. So that would be 50 pounds of what? That perch, it's a fish, right? 50 pounds of perch, and then 10 pounds of what? Of salmon. All right, so identify your coordinate, then just relate it to what we said the axes are labeled. What's another coordinate that fits in this green area? One, 6. Good, right here. And then remember, we counted by 10, so just multiply it by 10. That's 1060. That's 10 pounds of what? Good, and then 60 pounds of salmon. Questions, comments? All right, I'm gonna have you guys try number 3. So try that one from start to finish. I'll leave this one up here as an example, but remember, start with the totals. You need to make your expressions first. Start with the totals, come up with the signs, and then go from there. So I'll give you about like 3 minutes. So the We Sell CDs website wants to purchase an ad in the local newspaper. Their budget, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase this, their budget allows them to spend at most $3,000. An ad costs $30 to appear in the weekday paper and $50 to appear in the weekend paper. They plan to run at least 20 ads. So first, what did I say is a good place to start? Any totals? What's one of the totals? The 3,000. Oh, that's the rate, remember? So 3,000 is one of the totals. What's the other one? 20. Good. And I say start there because that helps you figure out your symbol by looking at the words in front of each of your totals. If I have to spend at most 3,000, can I spend greater than 3,000? Can I spend less than 3,000? Good. And can I spend exactly 3,000? So less than or equal to is the sign. Again, I don't memorize them. I just like put things there and see if they make sense. So if at most I can spend is $3,000, whatever goes here should be smaller. And then we want to run at least 20 ads. So could I spend or could I run greater than 20 ads? Yes, if it's at least 20. I can't have greater than 20. Can I have exactly 20? So then put that little line underneath. That makes sense? Any questions? Even just being able to do this part can eliminate some of the answer options on your test. So look at the symbols and then narrow it down from there. Your dollar totals should be with what? That too. But your dollar amounts should always be with your other dollar amounts. So what are my other dollar amounts? So we could do 30x plus 50y. I'm squeezing that in there. So if we do it that way, that means the weekday paper is the x and the weekend is the y. So you can label that on here too now if you want. So y is for the weekend. And x is for the weekday. And labeling it just helps for later when we do like the coordinates in the solution area to make sure we label those right. All right, now the other inequality is about how many ads you run. So what should go over here? Just x plus y. All right, questions about that? All right, so that's a good way to model it. That's what a lot of your answers look like on your test. They ask you to model it. Really quickly. And the other part would be to graph it and pick a possible solution. So what form did they need to be in? Slope-intercept form. How do you get y by itself? Okay, side conversations need to stop. We're really distracted. So 50y less than or equal to because you don't flip the sign when you subtract. And what goes on the right side? Plus or minus 3,000? Good, so keep the signs how they were originally. How do you get the y by itself? Good. That's a 50. And now y is by itself. Do I need to flip the sign when it's a positive that we're dividing? No, you do not flip the sign. So less than or equal to, simplify this fraction. What is it? Good, -3 over 5x. And then your y-intercept is 60. Questions about that process? Are we good at the rearranging? All right, so then highlighting that so you remember to graph it. Now rearrange the other one. Get the y by itself. What do you do? Good, y is now by itself, so that one was a lot easier. Y greater than or equal to what? Good. Any questions? Did you guys get the same thing on your first try? If you got this far? All right, it's all repetition. That's all math class is. It's a bunch of repetition. So now graph these. What should we count by? Tens. So I'll start with graphing the one in blue. So put a dot where the 60 would be. And my slope is, so we need to go down 3. to the right 5. Down 3 to the right 5. And solid or dashed? Solid. Good. And shaded above or below? Remember, we're looking at this one over here. It should be shaded below, because it's less than. All right, the other one, graph it. Y-intercept is 20. Remember, we counted by 10, so it's right here. And then the slope, we are going down 1 to the right 1. Solid or dashed for this one? Solid. And shaded above or below? Above. Right, probably don't need to shade the whole thing because you can kind of see where they overlap. All right, on my screen, it's anywhere in this green area is a possible solution. So there's multiple answers. What's one solution that we can have? Okay, I heard someone say something and it sounded like 5-1, so I'll just go with that. Good. So that would be here, and again, we counted by tens, so 50, 10. And that would be 50 what? Weekdays. 50 weekday and 10 weekend. So weekday ads and 10 weekday ads and then 10 weekend ads. What's another coordinate that's in this area? I think I heard 6, 2, and that does work. It's like right here on the solid line. So 60, 20, that would be 60 weekday and 20 weekend. All right, any questions?